How is everybody? All right, I hope you're ready for a whole bunch of things that nobody in this room can use. My name is Philip, and I love this ecosystem. I grew up in this ecosystem, and I have spent 7 years building a podcast and then a media company called Future Commerce, and I have, for 7 years and 360 episodes of a podcast, started at least 1 hour of my week by saying, hello and welcome to Future Commerce, the podcast about the next generation of commerce. I think intensely about what the ecosystem is doing right now and how we're going to get to where I think we're going. And so this morning, I want to spell out for you a little bit about where my head is about the future of consumer experience and why in the world we should care. Because we are all in an ecosystem that is heavily invested in maintaining what we have. And I feel like what we really need to be doing is thinking about skating to where the puck is going to be and where we're all heading, okay? You want to come with me on the journey here this morning? So we need some vision in the ecosystem. This was a video that is now a JPEG, so I hope we can all appreciate it for just a moment. I spent 6 or 7 years building an accelerator platform so that Magento buyers could get up and running faster. Pregnant pause. I spent the majority of my Magento experience in our ecosystem building a starter kit for people to get up and running faster. But the thing that I realized after doing that for almost a decade is that most people are perfectly fine to just keep whatever they have. They never make an incremental investment beyond that. We are, by human nature, pushers of the easy button. So in 2018, when I came across a website called Entire World, I was taken aback by why someone would ever not take the easy button. Here was a brand that sold over-expensive basics, matching sets of sweatsuits that would be sold to millennials who had too much money to spend on things they didn't need. Anyone in this room ever do that? Nobody. But what this brand did that blew my mind was that they broke the traditional website experience. The experience that they built was so like half-cocked and harebrained, it made me take pause and say, why would anyone ever do this? The starter kit that I built, that I deployed for thousands of customers all over the world, the starter kit that I built that powered a lot of website experiences that did tens and even hundreds of millions of dollars in annual gross merchandise value, was incapable of producing the experience that just moved me emotionally. And it made me rethink a lot of things that I held dear as best practice. And so today I'm going to tell you a little bit about what that journey did for me. I went on a quest to find out who in the heck would ever design something like this. This is the website of the design agency that built the Entire World website. It is also a JPEG that used to be a video. Hawraf, H-A-W-R-A-F, was a small design studio founded by 3 people. And their mission was to break out of the box. The entire web is comprised of boxes that stack upon each other. And when you break out of the box, it creates all kinds of problems. Who in this room knows the kind of problems that you have in trying to create experience design on the web? It is tough. And in fact, you spend a lot of your time in my seat as a developer or as a business analyst telling people what you can't do. We are trained to say no. But I was raised in a world where the web was supposed to be the future, where we could say yes. What happened to saying yes? I was supposed to be excited about websites, and I don't want to tear down anything we've built in this room because we're all here because of the proliferation of the knowledge and the collective human intelligence that has become the web. But the web is freaking boring now. Are we awake yet? I'm bored. Are you guys bored? I'm so bored. I don't need to be trained on how to go to another website and go buy. I'm a mindless zombie that scrolls a never-ending stream of other people's problems and then buys something at the end of it just to feel something. The web was supposed to be something different, but we've boxed it back in. And that's kind of what we're trying to do at Future Commerce. What I have done in this media company that we started is to try to analyze where the consumer's attention is going and how we can get to a place holistically where we're not just trying to wow them and then sell them overpriced goods that they're, at the end of the day, unhappy with, but how we can actually make an emotional connection with them. We do that through a bunch of different means and through broken fonts on this slide. What we do is we have ways of connecting this, where we're going and how we're going to get there and how we take incremental steps to get there. Future Commerce puts out 2 big research reports a year. We just released Archetypes. Archetypes we'll cover here a little bit at the end on how I believe we connect with people and understand the roles we play in each other's lives and the roles that brands play in our lives. But today I want to talk to you a little bit about visions that we published back in 2022. I believe in this piece of research we talked to 1,000 consumers in the United States, and we asked them if you could identify something that makes a brand unique. And what we found was brands have basically really perfected a homogeneous template, or what I call everything's very blah. When we took away the header on 3 popular home goods websites, you get the picture here. Most consumers could not tell which one was distinct from another. You take away the logo, and you no longer have a brand. The products that you sell are a means to an end for a consumer, but it's really value extraction out of their wallet. We talk a lot in strategy about building things like lifetime value. There is no lifetime value. The only lifetime value that's left is the little bit of money that's left in their wallet so that they can actually try to get something to the doorstep. We have created a language on the web over the last 20 years, of which I was a large part in helping to develop, and so was everyone else in this room, a lingua franca of e-commerce. It is a universal language that everyone can agree on, that is a UI and UX pattern that everyone knows how to use. We can blame Shopify for this, for 3 million websites that have proliferated this and an explosion of online shopping over the last few years, but the fact is that we all know this pattern. And we reinforce this pattern over and over. Why? Why do we do that? Because it's really hard to not design in this pattern. There is a happy path. But the happy path isn't actually making people happy. It's actually taking away the uniqueness and distinctiveness of things that you would typically never, ever in a million years touch if you went into a physical online retail store. If every single shop that you walked down the high street into and you popped in to say to go to your local grocer, you go to your local baker, if you were to go pick up a pastry of some sort, you dip into your coffee shop, if every single one of them looked functionally the same and had no distinct qualities, you would be bored out of your mind. This is a consumer dynamic at play that's happening everywhere. We have turned business buyers into consumers. Now, I don't want to rail on Shopify because they have been unbelievably successful, and also they pay me money on Future Commerce. So everyone, let's all be happy about it. We can live in a big ecosystem, and we can all participate together, especially if more people are shopping online. But the fact is that business buyers have become consumers themselves. We want what the other business has, and we look at them as the template that we implement for us and for our customers. You may be saying to yourself, Philip, this text doesn't fit on this slide. This is running off the top and bottom. I can hardly read it. Yes, it's on purpose so that you can actually feel something. I felt something recently. I was on Vice.com, and this took me by surprise. I could not believe my eyes. Tuna fish is cool again. Did you know this? This is wild. I think it's because you can't really afford to live in this world anymore that we're making canned goods like a special experience. But it turns out that millennial girlies who are now tired of pumpkin spice lattes have found that sardines are something that nobody's talking about. So we're all rushing now on TikTok to open up a can of tuna fish or sardines. And it's basically become a bit of a trend. So people are seeking after, mind you, these are expensive sardines, okay? They're not just regular sardines. We don't want those. These are millennial, scripty font, beautiful like pink, very nice. It goes very well composed. You're going to put it, it's great for the TikToks. Tinned fish is cool again. And I thought to myself, who even has a can opener anymore? I have a can opener that I bought. It was on my wedding registry 20 years ago, and it's so dull now, I don't even think it works. In fact, most of the cans that I buy, I don't think I've opened in a very long time. It's like once every so often at Thanksgiving, I'll open up a can of green beans to make a casserole. Who opens cans anymore? Millennial girls open cans now. So what's the best can opener? So I went to review. I was like, I'm going to go down this rabbit hole. What is the best can opener? And then I realized we only have one kind of can opener anymore. They're all the same. Why? When I was a kid, we used to watch cartoons, and there was like a recurring trope in like Ben and Jerry. That's an ice cream brand, actually. Tom and Jerry, that's the one I'm looking for. Tom and Jerry, they had this sort of recurring trope that there was a type of a can opener that had sort of a lever action, had no moving parts, and it left this really jagged edge on the can that you would like cut yourself with. Does anyone remember this? I'm really freaking old, okay? So I was like, whatever happened to those kind of can openers? Did you know the U.S. Patent and Trade Office has hundreds of patents for different types of can openers? We don't need another kind of can opener. The one we have is just fine enough. Man, maybe that's what's happening to websites. We don't need a different kind of a website. The one we have is fine enough. Why do we need another one? Why do we need a different kind of a car? They're all the same now. Let's just have the same car, everybody. There's a car color called a wet putty. Has anyone seen this? It's literally what it's called. It's like it's not a sparkly, shimmery gray. It's a flat gray color that's gloss, and every car manufacturer has it now. In fact, they have 3 shades of gray for everybody in this room. Every car looks the same. We're all becoming the same. No one has any distinctiveness. No wonder we're eating sardines. But this is not unique. We've been here before. In fact, we go through cycles. There's like a homogeneity cycle and then a radical departure from that to just break out of the mold. And we are in a massive blah cycle right now in web commerce that we all need to take attention and so that when brands like Entire World come along and break the mold, it actually inspires a consumer to actually feel something. And it's not just cars, and it's not just can openers, it's freaking everything. Everything has become similar and unremarkable. It's cell phones, it's toothbrushes. Everything looks and functions the same. And you know what's really great about that is that you don't have to teach anybody anything anymore. We just know how to use it. My children were like 1 and 2 years old sitting on the iPad. I watched my 18-month-old go bloop to unlock it. And I'm like, I didn't teach you that. When I was a kid, I went to PC Professor. We went to like actual computer school to learn how to use computers. That is now part of us. It's an extension of our DNA. We know how to use this stuff. Nobody taught me how to use this toothbrush. I just know. So that's great design. Great design is intuitive. We don't have to teach people anything. There's no friction there. We're always talking about frictionless. Frictionless this, frictionless that. I want frictionless. If you had a frictionless tire, you would be dead. You need a little bit of friction. Has anyone had frictionless sex? It sucks. We need to have a little bit of something to kind of get a little traction. I'm not talking about reinventing the entire wheel. But what we found at Future Commerce and doing consumer research is that there's a cycle of commodification where you remove all the distinctiveness of a product and it becomes so unremarkable and so unworth having, things that are not worth investing in, that you actually find yourself without any choice at all. At the end of the day, you will have a collapse and an agglomeration in an ecosystem where there are only 2 or 3 choices. Is that the world we want to live in? Do we only want to live in a world where there's 2 e-commerce platforms to choose from? I think what actually makes life exciting is having choice. So we need to give more choices to consumers, and we need to allow marketers and B2B business builders to have a starting point that is not so cumbersome to build on afterwards that they stop iterating altogether. What we found when we asked consumers about the things that they think give them identity, we were shocked. We found that the things that give someone identity is not the things that they have infinite amounts of choice in, and not the things that they have just a handful of choices in. It's the stuff in the middle that sort of divide who we are. It's the things that we have enough choice to where we vote on. We're not spoiled for choice. We don't have no choice at all. We have just enough choice to make life interesting. People don't say, I'm a Kellogg's guy, or I'm a General Mills girl. They say, I'm a Target shopper and a Walmart shopper. You have plenty of choices to choose from in retail, but you have a million choices to choose from of the brands that sit inside. Now, you may say, I'm an Apple person or I'm an Android person, and if you're a green text, I'll murder you. Get out of my text messages. I don't want you. You're filth, you're scum. And that's okay. We can still have divides. We can create little tribes. That's fine. I don't want to take that away from us, because that's kind of human nature. But having some amount of choice where we can actually create experiences that have emotional resonance, that's the thing that I think actually stands out, not the thing that powers it underneath. So what causes this effect? So if B2B buyers are becoming like consumers and they take the easy route, they are affected by the marketing, we make choices based on other people's behavior, there's actually a name for this. So the second trend that we spotted in our Visions report in 2022 is called keeping up with the Joneses. Now, this is a very observed effect in psychology. In fact, so much so that there was a study in 2016 of Canadian lottery winners. The neighbors of Canadian lottery winners had a higher percentage of bankruptcy than the lottery winners themselves. Now, lottery winnings is a known and studied phenomena that people who come into windfalls of money tend, if they're not good with money to begin with, they tend to be really bad with a lot of money. And those people tend to have a trend line toward bankruptcy. Now, in Canada, it turns out that the people that are around those people are also affected. But they won no money whatsoever. So as researchers actually looked into this, they found with a stunning amount of frequency that people all over Canada in different provinces in various neighborhoods and within close proximity to lottery winners found themselves also in financial trouble. Why? Because we want what we can't have. And I can't tell you how often I've sat in a room with a business buyer in a BA role or as in a strategy role where I hear someone say, God, I wish if I were only on Shopify, it would be so much easier. If I only were on BigCommerce, oh man, life would be so much easier. Oh, if I only were on the Adobe Commerce stack, I just got to get to the paid version because open source is not good enough. We want what we can't have. We always are yearning for that next thing, and this is a really interesting phenomena. It's always the thing that we're comparing ourselves to someone else's perceived successes. It's always based on a case study. It's always based on some keynote. We understand how this all works, right? Like people pay money to stand on these stages. Thank you, Ravi. I didn't pay money to stand on the stage, but people. There's a commercial opportunity at play, right? We know how this works, but we're still influenced by it. We bring the thing we did at the last job into the next role. And what we find is actually it's not making us any more successful or happier. It actually just creates a toxic cycle. So we say things like, experience is the differentiator. I heard headless is going to be the thing that's going to change everything for me and my business. And they say, oh, so we go to reinforce that decision. Let me find others in my industry who have also implemented headless. Let's look at that. And I don't want to dog on headless. I'm going to use that as the current thing that I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of questions about. And if you want to find out more, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of talks on it here today. But immediately we start looking for reinforcement for that decision. So we look at others. We say, what are others in our industry are doing? And we start to layer on all of the reasons why you might buy. Oh, it's so much easier. Oh, it's a vibrant ecosystem. Oh, there's plenty of developers. Oh, there's a million plugins. And then we wake up one day from this fever dream and we say, why does our site look and behave like everybody else's? Completely unremarkable. It's not just websites either. I don't want to dog on websites. It's not just websites. It's everything. It is the Black Friday promotions. A study done by Common Thread Collective, which is a performance marketing agency, they found that over time, most marketers have stopped offering different types of promotions during a Black Friday, Cyber Monday window because it's just not worth the effort. They run the same promotion for 6 solid weeks because it's not worth changing. It's not worth going to all the trouble. It's not worth the meetings. It's not worth the planning and the forecasting. It's not worth the headaches internally to try to figure out. It's not worth messaging to the customer. They'll send you 5 emails a day. Don't get me wrong. But the actual changing of the promotions have become stale. From year to year, most folks keep a single select SKU from Black Friday to Cyber Monday. Most folks keep the same site-wide promotion from Black Friday to Cyber Monday. Most folks are only offering the same basket of promotions from one holiday to the next. So let's play amateur philosopher for a second here. Does anyone have a liberal arts degree? That's right, not in this room. We don't do that. The humanities, bah, we don't need that. There's actually competing philosophies at work here. My co-founder at Future Commerce is probably the headiest person I've ever met, very deep thinker, student of Russian literature, and he believes that the Greek philosophers, 600 years before Christ, all thought all about this, and they had no idea what Magento or Adobe Commerce were. Aristotle would say, delivering on customer expectations is what is natural to you. It is natural. This is whatever your instinct is, this is part of who we are as people. It is a natural part of the human experience for us to just do whatever is easiest. Whatever we did last year is what we're going to do this year. Whatever we bought last time is what we're going to buy this time. It is natural for you to look at what other people are doing. It is also natural for you to run a promotion that, potentially, or send more emails. We're going to send more email. 5 times in the inbox on Black Friday and Cyber Monday. That is a natural course of evolution for commerce in a society. Michel Foucault would say it's a little bit different. For us to have a sustaining ecosystem and a relationship over time that grows and deepens, for us to create enduring, long-term, equitable relationships, we need a discourse. What we actually need is to be in constant communication with people. That is, in our parlance, in this world, it's post-purchase surveys. It's understanding more about what people want. It's understanding in CX transactions and tickets that are open and products that's returned and refunds that are requested. It's like, why is it that you are unhappy right now? We need to engage in a broader, deeper discussion. In fact, we're starting to see these wild swings back away from homogeneity in other areas of society, media in particular. This is a redesign by a digital magazine called The Verge. It's a tech blog that has been widely panned by the critics. The analyst industrial complex and the conversion rate optimization consortium will tell you that this is the worst redesign to ever happen to media in the last 5 years. Well, what they have done is completely break the idea of what it means to be in tech journalism. They have moved discourse, the actual conversation that people are having about technology, to front and center. On the right is this is the website as the redesign landed on day one. And many people said this is the ugliest redesign they've ever seen. But what it has done is it moved the story next to the editorial, because the story is no longer what the editor's point of view is. The story is the conversation that's happening in the ecosystem outside of the editorial. If journalists get it, I think commerce and consumers are going to start to demand it from commerce experiences. I have a proposed solution. We already do it. Have you heard of dark mode? Who uses dark mode on their phone right now? Raise your hand. I can't see you. A lot of people in this room use dark mode. Now, dark mode is not necessarily enabled by default on your phone or your device. It is an opt-in experience. Okay? Dark mode is a preference that the consumer is exercising to tell you that they have a specific way they want to engage with your content. And most people would say, I understand that and I want to provide for it, and maybe it's worth investing in because a consumer has a desire that I want to meet. I have a proposed solution for this design problem that we have, and we call it at Future Commerce dork mode. You're allowed to laugh, that's fine. Dork mode. What is dork mode? You've all seen it. Dork mode is a radical departure. It's what The Verge did. It is an opt-in experience that completely breaks the mold to speak directly to a consumer on their level. Now, it's a pretty radical departure. If the Home Depot did it, then we would all have to do it. If the consumers loved what Home Depot did, if there was a standard bearer that we could look at and point to as an exemplar, we would all be getting in line to start implementing radical design departure. I think this is coming, but it's going to happen in a way that none of us are expecting. Consumers are already demanding these preferences. The largest brands in the world, like Gucci, have to be everything to everyone. Nike has to be everything to everyone. They have to tell discrete stories. They're not just a running apparel brand. Nike is also a basketball brand. Nike is also what we are seeing right now is the facetization. We are creating facets of the brand for the consumer that wants to engage with it. And if you think that it stops at Gucci and Nike or potentially the Home Depot, you are wrong, because that's not the trend line of consumer expectations. The consumer expectation trend line is to demand everything of everyone. That's why everyone in this room is trying to figure out how to get to 2-day free shipping. Because it's no longer about what you do best for your customer. It's about what your competitor does best for them. And we all have to race to meet those standards. So dork mode, there are brands that do this already. There are brands that do this without design. One brand that I've been taking notice of because I was a death metal kid in a metal band is a company called Liquid Death. Now, they make overpriced water, okay? They make overpriced water for people like me who spend too much money on things like overpriced water. But what they've done is they send plain text emails. It doesn't have to be crazy design, but they send plain text emails that say, "It's scared and alone and starting to fall in love with the wrong crowd. It even caught selling meth to an undercover cop." The tone of an email that hits my inbox now is something I look forward to. It is an experience that is so easy to pull off. It just requires some effort that it stands out in the inbox. And this is a plain text email. No design went into this. They just thought for at least 1 second about what their customer wanted from them. Now, they are a specific design one sort of a expression of design that attracts a certain kind of customer. But I think the trend line takes us to every brand has to do this everywhere all the time. And that's really hard to keep up with. Now, you're probably sitting in this room and you're saying, I'm a B2B company. I sell laundry equipment and parts for laundry equipment. How does this apply to me? So don't take my word for it. Let's fall back to more of the psychology aspect about understanding people's needs and their behaviors and who they are innately so that we can build the experience that's best for them. Okay? It's not about technology, it's about understanding people. And so that's what our most recent content piece has been about in our research. It's called Archetypes. Archetypes is a well-understood framework that a lot of brand marketers have used to create brands. It was first theorized in, I believe, the 18th century by Carl Jung, who was a psychologist, who thought deeply about the roles that we play in each other's lives. Now, these roles are well understood. I didn't make these up. These are effectively public domain, but we all tend to take on roles. Now, one of the things about roles, especially in stories, going all the way back to Beowulf, characters take a role that they play in a story to push the story along. I play a role in the story of a brand. The brand sees me as a character in their story. But that's not how life works. I'm the main character, right? You're all just characters in my story. So as a consumer, the brand is a character in my story, and it's that duality of understanding the relationship between the consumer and the brand that is worth exploring. So we take on a role. We are the sage, we're the magician, we're the lover, right? We're the outlaw, and we play a part in the story of a brand. So we are all at Future Commerce, not just podcasters. We see ourselves as sort of an art collective that expresses the needs of consumers to business leaders like yourself. And so what we did was we commissioned 12 portraits from an artist, and we had 12 portraits that were commissioned to embody what these archetypes might look like. We put those 12 portraits along with a deep amount of writing and thinking into a book called Archetypes. And this book is 240 pages, archetypesjournal.com. Sorry, it's not on Adobe. And we published this and we put it out at Art Basel in 2022. At the release, we brought in a choreographer, and we had dancers of all ages and ethnicities to come and embody the archetypes. Yannick was there, a few folks in this room were there. What Archetypes did was change the conversation to take it away from the technology and focus more on the people that either sit in the role of the business buyer, or sit in the role as a consumer, or sit in the role as the strategist, to say, if everything's boring, maybe it's because we've just decided that everybody is the same, but not everybody is the same. We have a beautiful video that you're not going to be able to see, but what we did was we created an experience to try to inspire you. Now, it's a mistake to say that every single person in this room can take this and put this directly into practice, wrote word for word, because you don't want to do the keeping up with the Joneses thing and just, okay, well, now we have to do this brand archetypes thing. Don't miss the point here. The point is not for you to go to the Met or to go to MoMA and say, I'm going to be the next Salvador Dali and buy a paintbrush and an easel. The purpose here is not to focus on the tools, but the people that the tools impact. So how do we get there? Dork mode is really just an affectation of understanding that your consumer is a certain type of person who would engage with that. It doesn't have to be dorky to be dork mode. If your consumer population and your buyer population is made up mostly of jesters, then the design on the left is what they want from you, not the template that you bought from your service provider. We sat down at that event in Art Basel. I don't have to tell you some idealized image of who the jesters in the room were. I literally had a photographer there to capture them in their own likeness. The very same photographer that did the artwork in the book was in that room, and these are the jesters. I don't have to ask them. I know exactly who they are because we had a conversation with them, and they filled out a survey of 45 questions in 7 minutes that you can all take at archetypesjournal.com, by the way. I don't have to have an idealized image or a homogenous persona that I've developed with some brand marketing agency. I know exactly who they are. And these are those people. These are jesters. They're actual people. They're real people. They don't care about the boxes on your website. They just want to feel something. Now, is this going to be successful? Is this going to make your business take off? I don't know. Entire World didn't take off. Entire World, like many other brands of its ilk in that 2018 to 2022 era, eventually expired. But people, actual people, still today post on Twitter and LinkedIn that they mourn the loss of this brand. It's like their favorite band broke up. This was like a star that burned very bright and then was gone. It left a hole. If your brand went away today, would it leave a hole? Would people care? Would they just find someone else to buy from? Would they mourn your passing? So what does success actually look like? Is it selling more? Yeah, it is. Maybe it's also leaving a lasting impact. And the agency that designed the website also didn't make it either. So don't take any of this advice directly. I'm not telling you to go redesign your websites. I am telling you that if we just keep on the trend line we are, we're only going to have one can opener at the end of the day, and we all would be poorer for it. I don't want that. You don't want that. Let's do it differently. We can. We have Whova now. We can design things a little easier. Things don't have to be so hard. We don't have to use the Luma theme of 2012. You don't have to buy the starter kit from your agency. Just put some amount of effort and thought into it and actually know who your consumers are. Have a relationship with them. That's why we're here. That's it. Thank you so much.